Oh, cameras, favorite people, love you guys. I know a lot of you. There's a couple of new faces. Tell me why you're here. What made you think this might be a good use of my time? Because I know you don't have that much time anyways.
Whatever you posted on Instagram, I mean, I just pressed that button and was like, this is it. I get it. I so get where she is right now because I think that's where I am in my own life
Yeah.
and it's my own business and just this new stage in my life where I'm like empty nesting and just tired of just trying to figure out where I am with my business. I just
Yeah.
was grateful that you are holding space for this.
I know from working with several of you that that's just a really common theme right now. Like, where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I spending so much time on this? Is it worth it? So that's really my goal with these workshops, is to help you get some clarity around that and fall back in love with it. Because there's a reason that you're doing this in the first place. And I really believe that right here, that you wouldn't be called to do this if it wasn't that important. And that's not just like marketing BS. It's a for real, I feel that in my heart kind of thing. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it was so important. Let's put it that way. Who else? What? Give me another reason why, and then we'll get started. Why did you take the time out of your busy morning, afternoon to come to this?
I think that I am here because you are. I am excited to see what's been going on in your heart and head because everything that you do impacts me and I have benefited from you and I'm excited to hear what you have going on next and be a part of it.
I love you, Emily.
And I've missed you.
I missed you too. I missed everybody. So I kind of have disappeared from the face of the earth for a little bit. I did it on purpose because I have been going through some of the same burnout that you have. And I am trying to figure out how best to support you. And in the same breath, learning how to best support you. You teach what you need to learn, right? So that's where I am. Angela knows. She's my aunt. We spent 2 weeks in the hospital with my mom. She had a stroke. I've been going through some marriage stuff. I've been super stressed out. And through all that, like really grounding into, why do I want to be here? What's the impact I want to have on the world? Why do I even care? What do I want to be known for? That is what has kept me here. Otherwise, I probably would have just disappeared into the void for a longer period of time, and I would have made my way back eventually, but it got me through to where I can be here so much faster. So many beautiful faces. Okay, let's get started. I decided a mantra of the day. This is one of the things that I discovered about myself in my process, is that something that's very important to me is helping you represent your vision and your voice so devotedly that you could get into the MoMA. And you can insert whatever thing you want there. If MoMA's not your thing, if it's something else, great. But if you think about it, every artist that is in there has devoted themselves to becoming a certain type of person, right? They have devoted themselves to their craft. They have spent hours and hours. A mantra of the day. This is one of the things that I discovered about myself in my process, is that something that's very important to me is helping you represent your vision and your voice so devotedly that you could get into the MoMA. And you can insert whatever thing you want there. If MoMA's not your thing, if it's something else, great. But if you think about it, every artist that is in there has devoted themselves to becoming a certain type of person, right? They have devoted themselves to their craft. They have spent hours and hours, expert is the wrong word, but becoming an expert in it, learning why they do the things they do, how they do the things they do. And that doesn't mean that they only do one thing for the rest of their lives. If you think about some of these artists that you really admire so much, they evolve as their personality, their life changes, everything around them evolves, their work evolves too. But at the core, they still have, they're not just like flitting from thing to thing. They're taking their voice, their vision, and letting it evolve with them. So that's really what I want you to take away from today. We have more, obviously, but if you could be in that place where you want people to see your work and say, wow, that touches me, where would that be? And I want to help you get so grounded in that, in your voice and your vision, that you can get to that place. For those of you who don't know me, real quick, my name is Jessica Craddock. I've been doing this for, I don't know how many years now, 7 or 8, probably. I started out going to art school. I didn't know how to sell it. I really, at my core, I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was a little girl. It was something I always dreamed about. And I was like, well, I don't know how to sell my art, and art's the thing that I like doing. So how do I do that? And I went out into the world for like 10 years doing marketing and websites and all of these different things. And then one day this lightning bolt hit me and was like, why are you not doing this with artists? I was like, sure. So 7 or 8 years later from that, here I am. So this workshop series and the subsequent program that I'm creating from it is called Revive Your Spark, because almost every conversation I've had with artists over this past year has been focused on burnout. And I know that burnout has always been a thing and will always be a thing. But for me, for the artists that I've been talking to, it feels like it's just more. It's so much more this year than it has been. Maybe you find that true for you, maybe you don't, but either way, it's a really important lesson to learn. But like I said, if I'm being honest, I've been there too, and I'm really trying to learn where I want to go. And one of the things that I tend to get stuck in, and I imagine you probably do too, is imagining what is the next phase? Where do I want to go? How do I want to do it? And that's kind of a fun place to be, right? But eventually that gets exhausting. And it just swirls and swirls, and you don't really know where you're going or how to move forward. Having an impact on that is not just your art career, but life. Life is a part of it. Whether you like it or not, you can't just compartmentalize, this is my art, this is my life. They go together. They feed each other. And that's really a good thing. So if you're beating yourself up for any reason, or about all the reasons that life has kept you from being as far as you wanted to be by now, I wanted to do just a little exercise with you. It's kind of corny. But can you grab a piece of paper real quick? I think you'll find it helpful. I think just scrap or a journal, whatever. I want you to write down, I'm not as far as I wanted to be because, and fill in the blank. I'll give you a second, and then I have a second part. So the second part of that is I want you to write, I choose to be kind to myself and accept this is part of the process. So the reasons that you wrote on that piece of paper are a part of what defines you. Those experiences add to your artistic voice. They help you find your motivation. They help inform where you want to go next. If we just get mad at them and push them away, that doesn't help us any. We want to use every part of ourselves, the good and what some might call the bad, and realize that's part of us. That's part of how we are going to become the artist that we want to be. Those bad things, if you flip them on your head, are helping you. The only way that you're going to get through some of these blocks when they feel so overwhelming is to be grounded in what you're doing and why you keep coming back to it. That's why it's so important to know what you want to be known for. And that's really what we're talking about today. Even if it's just for right now, if you end up resetting your course later, this vision is at least going to help you keep on track to that next marker. To help you understand what I'm trying to say a little bit better. Show of hands, who has made a commitment to something and then changed course, but that thing that you stopped doing actually helped you in some weird way get to where you are now? So for example, let's go back to, I went to art school. I kind of fell out of being an artist for a really long time. But I never thought that going to art school was a waste of time, because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have ended up back helping artists market their work. You're my people. I wouldn't have gotten back to that. I wouldn't have ever gotten to that had I not gotten a degree in art. So while I'm not using my degree, I so am. Does anyone else have an example like that? You don't necessarily have to share. You can if you want. But where you did something that felt unrelated and now you're here and you're like, that makes sense. That's how I got here, because I did that. I probably would have ended up in a cubicle. Not that a cubicle is a bad place to be for a lot of people, but for me, it would have killed me. I tried it a couple times. It's not good. With that in mind, working our way towards what do you want to be known for, let's explore what burnout feels like for a minute. Everything I do tends to have some component of your feelings, the psychology behind it. I think that really makes the lessons stick. Not just stick, make them usable. And I really value that portion of this. So you're going to learn marketing, but you're also going to learn more about you, right? Okay, so burnout. Raise your hand if you feel this. Not being able to make decisions about which direction to take next because worrying about how it might turn out. Does anybody do that? Yes. Trying to fulfill what other people want out of your art and putting what you want to do last. Just a couple. Okay. Worrying if you're good enough. Feeling like you're not getting anywhere because of outside demands. Some of you aren't raising your hand on some of these, and that makes me happy, I think. If you're just not admitting it, admit it to yourself. It's fine. Feeling like you're trying to do everything and or your to-do list never gets shorter. I hate that one. Wondering if you should give all this up and make money like a normal person. You want to see that? I see you. Quick plug. My aim with these free workshops is to help you connect with yourself, to connect with your art. There is a continuing version, I'm just calling it VIP for now, where we're going to go through more of the plan to get it out there without as many of these symptoms as possible. Like, I'm creating the strategy around getting rid of these things that we just talked about. If you feel like you can't do it on your own or you can't see the forest through the trees, I have been there. I'm going to put a link in the chat. You can look at it. We're not going to get into it too much right now. It's only $97 a month. You're going to get all the recordings and notes to these workshops. And in the following months, we're going to do more workshops like these that talk about the strategies to get your work out there. Talk about it later, like I said, but I just wanted to let you know that exists. So 2 reasons you might have a hard time focusing on what you want to be known for. 2 of the biggest reasons I see, there are more, and I want to talk through these with you a little bit. consumer demand. That might not necessarily be a phrase that you resonate with, but I wasn't sure what else to call it. So if you have a lot of people asking you for something you don't want to do or isn't your zone of genius, this is a marketing problem, or really what I should call it is a confidence problem. Because when you get so honed in on what you want to be known for and you give yourself permission to fully go for it, people are going to start to understand who you are and where your expertise lies. So think about a tattoo artist, right? You see them online. Some of them just have a portfolio full of anything and everything that somebody walked in and said, put this on me, ready to go. Others develop a style of what they want their tattoos to say, what they want them to look like. Maybe they have to do some for free. Maybe they, are drawing on a table and somebody says, oh, that's really cool. And you're like, hey, do you want to come in and I can tattoo you for whatever price so that I can start to get my work out there. You guys don't have to do that. You know what I'm trying to say. You don't need skin to tattoo for your work. You can just make what you want and put it out there. But in this example, the more clear they are, the more of what they want to make they put out there, the more people go, I want that artist because what they said speaks to me. Their style speaks to me. And they will travel across the world to go to that tattoo artist if they've decided that you're the one for them. That's really the level that we're going for. If we're always trying to do the things that people tell us they want from us, we're going to end up like that first tattoo artist that's just all over the place. The other reason that it's so hard to get away from burnout is because of pricing demands. So number one was consumer demands. Number two is pricing demands or pricing worries. One of the stickiest reasons that people stray from what they think they're supposed to be doing is because they're worried about what people will pay. So inserting excuse here, the economy, I'm just showing on the internet, I'm not developed, and whatever it is. And you're going all over the place with what you're making so that you can have lower prices so that you think either you're going to make what they want or what they're willing to pay. That's not to say you can't try different things. But if you're compromising what you want to be known for to do it, you're not doing yourself any favors. You can always get creative. Like, how can I take this larger vision and make it more accessible while still finding time to create my highest work? I use the term highest work a lot. I don't know if I picked it up somewhere, but I think when I say it, you guys probably know what I mean. What is the thing that if I could do anything, that's the thing I would do? So are there any other reasons besides those two that you feel like an outside life stuff that you feel like you're maybe stuck or trying to do too much so that you are burning out? I'm just curious. Those might be it.
I think I get bogged down by the price thing a lot because higher price things, while they do sell, they take longer to sell. And a lot of times I have a short-sighted view and want to feel successful, so I won't work to sell. And so I will underprice or lessen the value.
Yeah.
Out of fear, impatience.
Can I tell you, I'm really glad you said something because I don't remember how I got there. You had an email or a post or something that made me click through to your website, and I was looking at your sold work, and maybe you just take the smaller price stuff off, but I was like, look at how many high priced things you sell.
Yeah, a lot.
And I know we haven't talked in a while about pricing or any of that, but I was like, damn, I think she's wasting her time on this small price piddly crap.
It's so easy.
Through my head. So.
Like I said, short-sighted. It's so easy to forget those victories like 2 days later.
Right.
And then I'm just like, then I spiral a little bit because I'm like, man, am I just stuck on money? Am I greedy? Am I like wanting more, more, more all the time? That's not who I want to be either, you know?
Okay, side assignment. We've done this before, but you have to keep grounding in it. What are the reasons why you want that money to begin with? It's not just money. Money is energy. Money is the ability to do or be or have different things.
Yeah.
I know one of your motivations is generosity.
Mhm.
You can't be generous if you don't have anything. So go back to those. Write them down. Joe said, I feel like I plateaued. You want to talk about that, Joe?
Hey, sure.
Hi.
First timer, lovely to see you, lovely to see everyone. So I'll give it a short synopsis. I moved back to fine art in about 2018 when my kids were nearing the end of school. I'm turning 60 this year, and I really feel like I want to cover a lot of ground. I've covered a lot of ground, but I feel like I've kind of reached a plateau where I'm selling a certain amount and I'm showing a certain amount, and I just really want to make a leap forward. And when you asked, I'm not as far as I wanted to be because I didn't work hard enough and I didn't start soon enough, which is like the really annoying voice in my head.
That goes over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's the reason I had you write down the second part.
Yes,
I
I see
accept that
that.
this is part of how I am where I am and
And
how I'm going.
I'm going to say it. Okay, I won't go on too much of a side quest, but I was going very smoothly and pretty confidently, but I had a bereavement this year that really kind of knocked me around quite a lot. And I did focus on, I had a lot of making, I had a few shows, but it just messed with my head, I think, quite a lot.
Of course it did. That's a
Yeah.
huge thing. Like,
Yeah, really.
it's hard. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So that's my plateau.
The other thing I want to say about that is you said, I want to make a big jump. I feel like I'm selling the amount I'm going to be selling. I'm showing the amount I'm going to be showing, and I want to make a jump. Do you really know what that jump looks like? Because it's real hard to make a jump if you don't know where the jump is going.
I'd like to work with galleries and curators. Like I really want to expand the people I'm working with. I'd really like to sign with gallery. I think I'm ready for that. And I would like to be selling more of my more expensive pieces as well, like in the thousands of pounds rather than the hundreds of pounds.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to the pricing worries, it's not to say that you can't sell pieces in the hundreds of pounds, but are you prioritizing making that bigger work and showing it to galleries and applying for galleries? That has to be the bulk.
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I have been. I set myself a task to apply to, because I found rejection so awful that I set myself a task to apply for 2 shows every month for 12 months so that I was like, whatever happened, I was winning, right?
Right.
But, I ended up applying for 40 shows and I booked 1. That's a lot of
I'm proud of
rejection.
you.
Me too, but it's very frustrating. We don't know each other yet, but I have other ideas that I've made up that no one else does that are fantastic, but I also want this.
Yeah. Without knowing you and your work and your applications and all of that. My guess is not that they are rejecting you, they're rejecting your work, any of that, but more how do I say this? They don't understand how it's going to connect with their people because maybe there's not a great expression of who you are and what you're trying to do. If I were you, that would be the first place that I would look is how can I explore more about what I'm trying to say and how, and see if I can put a little bit more of that into the applications.
That's why I'm here.
We're going to go over voice, your distinctive voice. I believe it's the third workshop. We'll get more into that. Okay, so taking all of that away for a minute, I want to spend about 10 to 15 minutes thinking about what we want, allowing ourselves to get grounded in it, dream a little bit, and fit in a little bit of planning for the future. One of the ways I like to do this, especially in a larger group, is by having you guys journal. I hope you don't hate journaling. I personally think it's the greatest tool known to mankind. If you can't write, that's okay. But writing your thoughts down, in my experience, really shortens the time it takes to get to an answer. Because if you're not writing it down, it's just swirling, and then another thought comes in, and then it swirls more, and it's really hard to land anywhere. When you get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper, it brings clarity so much faster. That's not to say you're going to have all the answers right now today, but you're going to get a lot closer if you do this exercise with me. Everybody willing? Yeah? This exercise is really simple. I've been doing some version of it for years with clients, but it's really powerful. So first we're going to just do a little bit of breathing, and then we're going to get to the journaling. So first I want you to close your eyes. I'll do it too, so nobody is, no, they're looking at me. And we're going to take a couple of box breaths. Box breath means we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. We're going to hold it for 4 seconds, and then we're going to breathe out for 8 seconds. And I will count you through it. We're going to do 3. It just will help us relax a little bit. Okay, so breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more breath in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I was not planning on doing this, but for some reason, I feel like it. So you can open your eyes. Let me do a little bit of tapping. Anybody tap? Yeah. Katie, I think we've had this conversation. Okay, so first we're going to tap the top of our head. And we're going to tap inside of our eyebrows. And outside of our eyebrows. I might be doing this wrong, but we'll get close. Underneath your eyes. Under your nose. Under your bottom lip. Your collarbone right here. And under your arm. That always makes me feel so good. Okay. Now we're gonna do journaling. I'm gonna give you about a minute for each question. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depending on what feels appropriate. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna think about our favorite project that we've ever made. Can you think of one? One come to mind? Yeah? Okay, so how were you feeling at the time that you made it? How long did it take you? And why did it take that amount of time to complete it? What parts did you love about it? Is there anything you left behind from it that you want to incorporate in future projects? Maybe you forgot about that piece, or it was just such a little detail that maybe you didn't think about it again, but you'd like to bring that back.
Can you repeat that, Jessica? Sorry, I missed the beginning of that
Okay.
question.
Is there anything you've left behind from that project? Anything you loved about it that maybe you haven't continued to do that you'd like to incorporate into your future projects? Okay, now let's pretend for a minute that I'm going to give you a grant. And it's going to cover any supplies that you might need to create a dream project. What would you make? Envision the greatest, the highest, the most exciting work that could come out of you right now, the person you are now. What would it look like? If it's easier to think about a body of work instead of just one piece, you can do that too. Is there, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Like I said, we'll go over it some more in another workshop, but is there a particular message associated with this work? What supplies do you need? Do you have them? Where is your MoMA? Where would you want it to go in this I can have anything I want scenario? And why there? Lexi, I think you're trying to say something and I can't hear you.
What does MoMA mean?
Museum of Modern Art. So that's
Oh.
that at the beginning we talked about a mantra. I want to help
Okay.
you know your voice well enough to get into a place like that.
Okay.
Where is your version of that? If someone were to see it and could take it home from the museum or wherever, what things would they have in common with you that would make them feel drawn to it? We'll go over this in workshop 4, but just off the top of your head, why would someone say that is my piece, that is for me? How long do you think it would take to create that piece? Whatever answer you're writing down, double it. Because life. And I actually want you to do something for me. If you have it. Pull out your calendar, your phone, wherever you keep your plans, and say, what could be a possible start date to start working on this? I've already got this and this and this going on, but I could start it September 15th if I planned to do it. Everybody got a date? If it's a particularly expensive project, how could you, getting creative here, because we're creatives, cut the cost and still get the heart of it out there? And remember, this is our highest, best, greatest, whatever word, work. So even if you did have to or weren't ready to stray from that vision, what aspects of it could you keep or incorporate now? Or say, I'm only going to do projects with these couple of things moving forward because that's where I want to be. It's possible that you are having trouble imagining all of this right now. But from what I know of most of you, you're a little bit further along in your journey. You probably have some idea. Even if you're not acting on it, there's probably something there. If you aren't to the point where you have that kind of vision yet, don't worry. So instead of trying to imagine that final end goal, where am I going? What's my forever place I'm trying to get to? That's not really where we're going. But if you're struggling with it, generally that's the idea in your head. Your job is to take those inklings, the ones that are calling to you the most. Like, I know you've been taking some different watercolor classes and stuff. So maybe watercolor is one of those inklings. Explore them in an obsessive way to the best of your ability. And one of two things will happen. Either you'll decide to discard watercolor in favor of Prismacolor because it just wasn't it. But you really went all in to find that out. Or you're going to hit a point where, as you're exploring that, you're going to say, watercolor is my thing. And I really want to get obsessive about exploring flowers right now. And it's just a continual process in that way. I learned this one thing that is a piece of mine, and I'm going to continue morphing and adding and changing and trying and discarding. But the further you get down that road, the more things you add to your plate that become yours. And when you're having trouble getting to the point where you're like, this is my style, it's usually because you haven't gone far enough down that road. And you can't get there by thinking your way into it. It's by exploring deeply the things that are calling to you. Also, it's a continuous process and will probably never stop. For those of you who did have that vision, this is where I want to go, you're going to get there. And once you get there, you're going to go, I'm going to discard that. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to add this. You evolve. That is part of the artist lifestyle, artist career. So I also wanted to say that you are all getting access to a bonus workshop this month. in my last program, which was called Consistent Income. An artist you may or may not know, her name is Jess Courier, taught this workshop, and it was definitely a huge favorite of the other artists in the program. We renamed it, so now it's called State of the Studio. And Jess is really an expert at helping break down all the things that we've talked about today and creating a studio practice that helps you keep exploring what you want to be known for. It's a hot seat style, so you can show up, tell her what's going on, where your blocks are, and get back to creating. A lot of times people will show up and have nothing to say, but they'll just listen, and I can guarantee you will get stuff out of it. She's a large part of why I started painting again this last year, because I came to all her workshops. So now she's teaching me. I highly recommend not missing it. She's also my longest standing client, knows my vision inside and out, has her own beautiful process, and I trust her implicitly. So highly recommend that. I want to go back to, just for a minute, we're about out of time, but from this journaling, was there anything that you realized that popped up, that you got clarity on, that caused confusion? Is there anything you want to share with the group around the time you spent doing that for yourself? And I know it's hard to just speak up, but just do it. If you have something to say, say it. Joe.
Yeah, I want to say that because I've just recently done my first installation and something I really been wanting to do, I somehow ended up collaborating without a lot of effort, having input from different people, and it came together really well. And I realized when I was looking at this that that's really a key factor. When you said, how could you make it easier? Or maybe that's me putting my words on it.
Right. Are we talking about the
Okay, so
collaboration aspect?
Yeah, that was a key thing, is I could collaborate with a goldsmith for that part. Even though I can make the things myself, it would take me forever, whereas someone else would probably have it already there that I could just use.
Yes, ma'am. There is a book. It's kind of businessy. I don't know if you'd be into it or not, but it's called Who Not How.
I've read it. I listened to it last week.
Ah, you have? Cool.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Anybody else? See, that seems like such a little tidbit of information, right? But she took 10 minutes, whatever it was, to process what was in her brain, to ask the questions. And that could inform the rest of her art career. Just that little bit of information.
I had a scary thing come up, scary to me,
Oh.
I think.
Tell me.
That I wanted this big art piece that I am dreaming of. I wanted it to be connected with, not just because of what it looked like in the art and how beautiful it was, but the ideas behind it. I'm like, oh, I want people to think my ideas are important. And that sounds a lot harder. And like, and I feel far from being able to convey those ideas clearly. And like, that's what I've been struggling with the most.
Okay, couple things. One, you're a very good writer. I invite you to lean into that. That is a piece of you, right? You taking your ideas and turning them into words on the page. That's a part of your art. Just because it's not implicitly written on the work doesn't make it not a part of the work. That's part of your voice. That's part of who you are. That's great. Two, I think you're wrong. I think you are much further along than you think you are. I've talked to you about your ideas. They're very developed. They're very clear. Keep going. Three, you don't have to make anyone think your ideas are important, which is, I think, the part that you found scary. Your job as an artist is to express yourself. And hopefully they connect with that. If it's in the right place, they will connect with that. So it's not about convincing. It's about sharing from the heart. The more you do it that way, the less you're going to have to worry about others thinking your ideas are important.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's exactly it.
Okay. Was there anyone else who needed or wanted to say something? If not, we can wrap up. We're going to meet next Tuesday, same time. We're going to talk about turning your vision ideas from today into ways to make money from it. Even if money is a triggering word, we can't, unless we have some other way of supporting ourselves, you can't have an art career without making money from it. And maybe you have some other way of supporting yourself, and go you and keep going with your bad self. But if you don't, then we need to turn things into cash flow so we can have that to make more art, to get our stuff out there, to fly to see our shows, to whatever, all of those things. All right, I'm going to sign off. Remember, next Tuesday, same time, same place. I will see you then.